Hello and welcome back to Let's Explore World of Warcraft Classic. I'm the Azeroth Historian, and today we'll be doing our first dungeon, Ragefire Chasm. In the last episode I tamed a new pet, and since he's only really around to help learn his ability, I named him Bite. I spent a little time off screen to level him up so I wouldn't be bringing a level 10 pet into a level 16 dungeon. After spending some time collecting a party, we can finally head in and see what the fuss is about with this Warlock Coven and Trogg infestation. First off, most enemies in a dungeon are marked with a golden dragon, meaning that it's an elite enemy. They have more health, deal more damage, and necessitate at least a group of 2 or more to take down. A dungeon guarantees that you will find elites, but you can also find elite enemies in the open world, so we need to keep an eye out while adventuring. Since this is the first dungeon, its layout is pretty simple. The first enemies come one at a time to get used to the differences with elites. But once we hit the central room, we can see clumps of Troggs that will pull 2 or 3 enemies. This is where crowd control comes in, if we had any at this level. A mage turning one into a sheep, frost trap to lock one in place, maybe banish a demon from a warlock, etc. Since we don't have any crowd control, we do a priority system. The shaman will spell lock any caster with Earthshock, while the rest of the group focuses down targets one by one with a tank. I'll explain a bit more in a bit. The Troggs go down easy, their only threat being they can run in fear and pull more enemies, and we follow the right path up to a cave and the body of Mar Grimtotem. The chieftain of the Ragefire Troggs is here as well, Oggleflint. Despite being a named enemy, he doesn't drop loot like a boss. It's kind of impressive that Mar got this far into the Troggs before being beaten to death. The Troggs didn't seem to be interested in the items carried by Mar, and we find the lost satchel under the body. It looks like Mar was trying to protect it while being attacked. Must have been something very important then. Satchel found, we can move back to the main chamber and take the left path. Here we run into Molten Elementals, which is the first elementals we've seen, I think, which just introduces you to enemies that can't be crowd controlled, as they aren't humanoid. My Poison Sting doesn't work either. Past them is the Warlock Coven, the Searing Blade. This is where the first markings come into play. The World of Warcraft community uses these to indicate certain actions. They can mean different things to each group, but there are some universal uses. The skull on the Voidwalker means kill this target first. This is usually a high damage enemy, or in this case, the Voidwalker is a beefy tank with an area of effect ability. Taking it out first is a priority to spare your tank in melee from extra damage. The red cross is kill this target second. This is on the Spellcaster, which does high magical damage that can shred the tank's health. Other symbols that can be used is the moon for mage to polymorph that enemy, a blue square for frost trap, and I've used the purple symbol for Rogue Sap to stun an enemy. Those will most likely show up in higher level dungeons if we get to them. In any case, using our symbol strategies, we make it to the central platform and Targamon the Hungerer. This is the first true boss, and his only dangerous ability is that he can knock you backwards and into the lava if you aren't positioned with a ramp behind you. He goes down pretty easy and drops a one-handed sword. Not really using one-handed weapons right now, so no need for me. Definitely need to make sure to grab the heart before moving on though. In the next couple cultist packs we find the 2 books that Varimothros is looking for. At the back of the cave is the second boss, Jurgosh the Invoker. He comes with 2 adds that usually you would want to crowd control, but since we don't have any, we just focus adds while the shaman spell locks the boss. He goes down just as easy as well, dropping some mail bracers. The last objective is on the platform above us. We can take a sneaky detour up the side of a lava pit to shorten the amount of extra enemies we need to kill. Once at the top of the ramp, we find Basilan, the Satyr. This is another named enemy that doesn't drop loot like a boss, and is only really here for the quest. I believe Ragefire Chasm is the only dungeon with 2 proper bosses. It definitely feels like a dungeon tutorial for new players. That's it for this dungeon though, back to Orgrimmar. After exiting the dungeon, we can head straight to Nehru. He tells us Thrall will be pleased to hear that the demon is dead, and he will take care of the heart. I'm pretty sure we just gave Nehru a new demon pet. Back to Thrall, and he's glad we returned. Reports have come in that the caverns below Orgrimmar is now in disarray with the leaders of the Searing Blade killed, and Nehru is more than agitated. Thrall wants us to speak to Nehru again with our lieutenant insignia to see if we can ingratiate ourselves to the Burning Blade and gain any more information now that there is a power vacuum in the Warlock ranks. Back to Nehru it is then. He blames the random adventurers he's been sending into Ragefire for the death of Basilan and Jurgosh. This is despite seeing us leave Ragefire not even 5 minutes ago. We got away with it scot-free. He tells us he will need us soon as one of the lieutenants. While Ragefire Chasm has had a setback, that doesn't mean the plans in the Barrens or Ashenvale won't proceed. We need to take this information back to Thrall. Another run to Grommash Hold, and we inform Thrall about the Warlock plans. He hadn't heard anything about Warlocks in Ashenvale, and he'll have his spy look into it. For now, though, he thanks us for a job well done and that we should get back to other tasks. I take the staff here to level up my staves some more. While the agility on the sword is preferable, the spirit on the staff will help with mana regeneration. Let's head back to Undercity to give Varimothros his books. He tells us we have done well and our perseverance and ambition will be of great use to Sylvanas. We should come back later for further tasks to help overtake the Lich King and free the Scourge. I end up using these new pants for the spirit. Running out of mana for abilities can be a bit of a struggle early on, especially in low-level dungeons. We can head to Thunderbluff now with a little Hearth Hop and Wyvern later. Back to Ruharo, we can give him the satchel from Mar. He doesn't offer any explanation on what was in the bag, just giving us a reward. The new bracers are nice, but I hope we find out what was in the bag eventually. Ruharo also thanks us for taking the request to eliminate the Trogs seriously. Perhaps you can find out where the Trogs come from, and what they want later. That'll be a whole lore dump later with Uldaman in the Badlands. With all the quests complete for Ragefire Chasm, we can fly to Crossroads in the Barrens and begin the first level 10 area. For context, the Barrens is an odd zone in Classic. The level range for quests is from level 10 all the way to 25, or even higher if you count the dungeons at the southern point. This breaks the 10 levels per zone standard used everywhere else, and it's why this video is Barrens Part 1 instead of just the Barrens. Instead, I will break the Barrens into 2 areas just like Cataclysm did. This first part will focus on the quests in the northern half of the Barrens and around the Oases. At the end of this video, I should have all the quests for Wailing Caverns, and we can begin the next episode with that dungeon. That should leave all the quests that are level 20 or higher in the southern half of the area for later, effectively making a Barrens 10 to 20 section and a Barrens 20 to 25 section. Back to Surgra and the Crossroads, who's clocked us as being young and eager. She'll toughen us up and teach us that hunting is more than just finding and killing our prey. The first thing she wants us to hunt is Plain Striders, as they've been harassing the food stores of Crossroads. We need to collect 7 beaks from the Plain Striders in the Barrens. I'll work on this one as I go around doing other quests. We can talk to Zarg, the meat vendor, who wants us to bring some meat to Grishak, the innkeeper in Orgrimmar. We can talk to Devrak, the Windrider Master, to get back to Orgrimmar. This quest chain is just a tutorial to teach you how to use the Windriders. Next to the inn is Gazrog. A shipment of silver was stolen from the guard tower. They caught one of the thieves on that night, and strangely, it was a raptor. Gazrog doesn't know why raptors would want silver, and he doesn't care. The raptors must die for stealing from the horde. We need to bring him 12 raptor heads for this transgression. I find it hilarious that, when confronted with raptors stealing money, the orc's first solution is, "This weird thing must die," instead of figuring out why these dinosaurs would want silver. Next to the watchtower, we can find Thorg, who has 3 tasks for us. The first task is that the Quillboar must die, no surprise there. The Razormane tribe has been attacking the supply lines from Durotar. While scouts try to find the leader, any losses we can inflict will aid the Crossroads. During the supply line attack, the caravan was looted. While we are at the Quillboar camp, we should keep an eye out for the supply crate and bring it back. The last quest is directing us to talk to Kajarak at the Ashenvale border, if we're up to helping the new camps set up in Ashenvale. We won't be getting to Ashenvale for quite a while. At the top of the watchtower is Darsock Swiftdagger. He's frustrated at the Harpies attacking the supply caravans. We need to get rid of them. Starting with the lower ranks, we need to take out Harpies and Rogue Feathers to bring back 8 Talons. This is the beginning of my hatred for Harpies. Just to the south of the watchtower we can find Mancrick. He came to the Crossroads from the south seeking help, but has been turned away by everyone, even Thork, who leads the Crossroads. Mancrick will have his vengeance against the Quillboar. His hatred runs deep. We need to bring him 60 Quillboar tusks to prove we have killed many of them. These Quillboar can only be found to the south, so this quest will be completed in part 2. Mancrick's wife was separated in a small Tarn camp to the south. She held off 3 Quillboar by herself. He tried to lure some away, but they were both overwhelmed. A druid found him on the Gold Road and tended to his wounds. If we could, we need to find his wife. Another classic meme. Don't worry, we will find her this episode. Just further south is Tonga Rune Totem. He did indeed need our help to figure out what is the strange energy in the Barrens. Long ago, the Barrens was a lush place before war and cataclysm scorched it. In the past few years, new oases have formed and the druids can sense a power leaking their way to the surface. We need to find the source by looking in the forgotten pools to the northwest and searching the water. Next to Tonga is a bag vendor, a cloth armor vendor, a tailoring trainer, and a tailoring supplies vendor. Just north of Segra is a baker and a mill. Inside the inn is the innkeeper and a beverage merchant. It also looks like the inn in Razor Hill. West of the watchtower is the Wind Rider Master. He says getting a shipment to Orgrimmar will be no problem. He can send us for a small fee. The next quest is just taking a flight to Orgrimmar and dropping off the meat. We can do this next time we need to go to the city. Behind the Wind Rider Master is a reagent, herb, and poison vendor. Next to them is Apothecary Helbrim. He needs a crate of potions and other items sent to the Old World, or Eastern Kingdoms for the layman. He missed the last caravan, so he would like us to bring the crate to Wharf Master Dizzywig in Ratchet to make the next boat to Blackwater Cove in Stranglethorn Vale. Helbrim is also investigating the oases. The waters invigorate the plants and beasts, but also alter them. There is a mushroom that grows near the water, and Helbrim would like us to bring the spores of these mushrooms back to him. Across the road from Helbrim is the trade supplies vendor, a general supplies vendor, and a stable master around the back of the inn. Further west is a forge with a blacksmithing trainer, a leather and mail armor vendor, a weaponsmith, a blacksmith supplies vendor, and a bower and gunsmith vendor. Just south of the forge is Koran. He's been sent here from Orgrimmar to keep an eye on the land and take note of any happenings. One field of study is insect-like creatures found in the south in the Field of Giants. They seem to have a small measure of intelligence, more than any other animal. We need to take a digging claw and collect some of the eggs from their mounds and bring them back to Koran. This is another quest that is in the south part of Barrens for part 2. We can head west out of Crossroads and find an Urk burrow with Ragefire Deathgate inside. The Kolkar are a threat to the Horde, and we need to reduce their numbers. He is giving us a bounty for 15 centaur bracers we can find on any Kolkar warrior. This will finally give me a better bow. New leaders of the Kolkar have risen and are rallying the centaur. We need to take them out, starting with Barak Kodobane in the Forgotten Pools. Since we have so many quests for the Oasis, we can start there. I won't be showing it, but trust that we are killing any raptors or planestriders we come across while taking out centaur. The first task complete is investigating the bubbling fissure at the bottom of the Forgotten Pools for Tonga. Easy peasy. After doing a few laps of the Oasis, I finally find 4 mushrooms and gather their spores. A few more laps and Barak Kodobane is finally up at his hut. We take him down and grab his head. We run back to Ragthar with 9 Kolkar bracers, 1 raptor head, and 1 planestrider beak collected. Ragthar praises us for a job well done taking down Barak. The next leader is Varog the Dervish. He wanders the Barrens and will be difficult to find, but his command tent is by the Stagnant Oasis. We can kill centaur around the oasis until they raise the alarm and summon Varog. Before heading back to the crossroads, we take the time to slaughter the planestriders en masse for 7 beaks. I find 2 more raptor heads as well. We can give the spores to Helbrim, who wants them for a concoction to send to Thunderbluff. He is satisfied with the quality of the spores we brought him. He renders them into an emulsion and needs them sent to Apothecary Zama, the one in the Pools of Vision who wants Serpent Bloom. This is a timed quest, and I was going to do it later when I was taking a trip to Thunderbluff, but my party member didn't read the quest and accepted it. I guess we're going for a trip to Thunderbluff now. This quest gives you 45 minutes to deliver these just in case you haven't gone to Thunderbluff yet, but I've already been there, so it'll just be a quick Wind Rider flight away. Apothecary Zama is satisfied with the condition of the emulsion and offers us some potions. I take the agility buff potion for later. While I'm in Thunderbluff, let's get my hunter training. I picked up Serpent Sting rank 3 for more poison damage, Multi-Shot, which will hit 3 targets at once, Aspect of the Hawk rank 2, which will boost our ranged attack power by 35, and Track Undead, which will be useful in some areas. The pet trainer just has rank 3 of armor and stamina increases. I take my Hearthstone back to Crossroads and hand in the Planestrider beaks to Sergra. She's happy that the Planestriders will no longer be threatening the supplies for Crossroads. For our next target, we need to hunt Severa, which are harder prey than the Planestriders. She'll have us hunt harder prey when we can prove ourselves. We need to bring back 4 hooves as proof. In true classic WoW fashion, you don't want to know how many of the Severa don't have hooves. I'm convinced Bite is eating them all. Tonga finds the fissure at the bottom of the oasis strange, but it's a clue to what is happening in the Barrens. He gives us a packet of seeds that are dead and infertile, and wants us to take them to the Stagnant Oasis. If there is a fissure there, place the seeds within it and see what happens. Heading into the stagnant oasis, purging the local Zevra population as we go, we find a group waiting for Verog. We team up and help them spawn the leader by slaughtering anyone who stands in our way. In classic orc fashion, we stuff another head into our bags, and since we still need some bracers, continue the slaughter of the centaurs. Might as well get the seed test in the middle of the oasis done as we make a trail of dead horsemen. The first collection we complete is the centaur bracers. Then, after at least a couple dozen Zevra, we finally get 4 intact hooves. I'm convinced that Bite was eating them before we could harvest them. Time to head back to the crossroads with 9 raptor heads collected so far. Tonka is amazed that the fissure managed to sprout the dead seeds, meaning it created life from nothing. This warrants further study. He would like to know how the water is affecting beasts who drink from it. We need to hunt Oasis Snapjaw turtles at Lush Water or Stagnant Oasis and bring back 8 altered shells. I now agree with that guard at the Barrens border, because when we talk to Segra, she has the audacity to ask us how many Zevra we've killed, while only asking for 4 hooves. She only expected us to kill 1 Zevra, and now I have to explain the hooveless Zevra epidemic in the Barrens, and why I have like 25 light leather in my bag, but only 4 hooves. She's slightly impressed with our hooves, and asks if we're ready for a real challenge. The Prowler lions are tough, resourceful, sly, and deadly. We can find them in the tall grasses, mostly to the southwest. We should be careful not to find ourselves as prey. Next to the baker is the wandering trader that walks between Crossroads and Ratchet, Lazarick and his bodyguard Jorb. Lazarick has the usual weapon vendor standards, but also has some limited stock green weapons. Check him out if you see him along the road, you might find him selling something useful. Heading back west, we can give the centaur bracers to Ragefire. He's sure we've struck fear into the centaur, and if they had sense they would stop their attacks. But he doesn't think they will, and that is unfortunate. For them. We also give them the head he wanted, and he tells us we should be proud of our deed, for we have bravery in us. Hezrul Bloodmark is the leader of the centaur in the Barrens. Defeating him would greatly reduce the threat the centaur have to the horde. So we should kill him and bring Ragefire his head to complete the collection. Hezrul can be found at Lushwater Oasis. This quest also gives us our first ring, excellent. We can head south from Ragfire's Orc Burrow to find the Prowler Sergra wants claws from. Thankfully, these have a higher drop rate than the hooves, and don't take too much time getting 7 up. While running down to Lushwater Oasis, I finished collecting the 12 raptor heads. Hezrul patrols around the oasis here, so I put on track humanoids and we work on collecting turtle shells while looking for him. We get the 8 shells before finding him. Since we're near the entrance to Wailing Caverns, we climb the nearby hill and drop into the left eye of the skull to find a couple quests. Gnarlex had good intentions when entering the Emerald Dream to try and regrow the lush forest the Barrens used to be, but something has gone wrong. His dream has turned into a nightmare, and it's corrupting the creatures in the caverns. We need to get rid of them while the disciples focus on awakening the druid. For some context, the Emerald Dream is a vast, ever-changing spirit world that exists outside the physical world, and it represents what Azeroth would have looked like without any alterations by intelligent beings. The Green Dragons were tasked with guarding this plane of existence, and can see both the physical world and the Emerald Dream at the same time, making it seem like they're sleepwalking as they interact with the world. The Emerald Dream was linked with the World Tree, Nordrassil, by Ysera after the War of the Ancients to help regulate the Well of Eternity created there. During Warcraft 3, this tree was powered with the immortality of the Night Elves and their ancient spirits to kill the Demon Lord Archimonde, causing an explosion that devastated Mount Hyjal. While this didn't destroy Nordrassil, it did make the Night Elves mortal again and destroyed the link to the Emerald Dream and the easy access to it that the Druids had used before. Long story short, it is now very hard to enter the Emerald Dream, so Gnarlex encountering a problem here is very believable. Nullpack would like us to collect the hides of the strange beast that Gnarlex's nightmare has been creating. He believes these would be of use to leatherworkers, as they have strange, otherworldly properties. Indeed, we can learn a pattern that uses deviate scales from the vendor in this cave, something that can be only found by skinning the creatures in the Wailing Caverns. Back out to the oasis, we can find Hezrul nearby. He comes with 2 additional centaur to take care of, but it's no problem with the wonder duo Hunter and Priest. Another head is shoved into my bag. I wonder if I should have kept a tally of how many times I've had to do this. It's back to Ragefire to get a new ring. He commends our valor in defeating these fierce centaur. Unfortunately, the Centaur have sent a force from Desolace to the Barrens as vengeance for all the Centaur we've been killing. They are about to attack this very bunker, in fact. We need to keep them at bay until the Warlord appears, defeat him, and bring back a piece of his banner. We head out to help keep track of the Centaur, but I guess the Warlord appeared behind us because the next thing I know, Ragefire is yelling at the Kulkar retreating, which means the Warlord is dead. Thankfully, anyone in the area can loot the banner, even if you didn't help kill the Warlord. We bring back the banner to Ragefire and he says we should stand tall as we have done the Horde proud by defeating the Kulkar. Well, for now that is. We will be seeing more of them in Desolace. Back to the crossroads and we can finally give Gazrog those raptor heads he's been waiting for. He thanks us for our help. The raptors might be dealt with, but the silver they stole is still gone and needs to be recovered. There is a large nest south of Ratchet that they most likely took the silver to. We need to search it for the silver. We gave the Prowler Claws to Segra, who asked us if we're ready to face a champion among the lions. White Mist, or Echayaki to the Tauren, is the king of the Savannah Cats. He hunts so quietly that he's like a thin, white mist in the morning. The Tauren call him both Mercy and Death. All very dramatic for essentially a slightly higher level lion. His lair is northeast in some Kodo bones. Segra gives us a horn to apparently summon him, which negates the whole stealth hunter thing we had going here. The cool thing about Echayaki is that he's tameable and a unique color for a lion. Since I have a party member, and essentially 2 horns, I'm going to catch him as my new Pokemon, I mean tame him as my new pet. Back to Tonga, we can give him the turtle shells he wanted. He will study them to see what he can figure out about the oases. The shells are tainted with something Tonga has never seen before. The water is confusing the land. It's as if it dreams and cannot awaken. We need to head back to Hamul and get his counsel on what to do, as Tonga believes the source of the taint is the Wailing Caverns. Mara Rune Totem traveled to Silverpine to help the Forsaken. The forest is slowly dying, and Mara wanted to help bring new life to it. Perhaps the strange life from the oasis can aid her. We need to bring a sample of the shells we've collected to Mara at the Sepulchre, so she can study it in hopes of revitalizing Silverpine Forest. We can head northeast to take out some Quillboar. Finally a break from killing wildlife and centaur. In their camp, you can find Chen's empty keg, labeled as belonging to Chen Stormstout. We need to find someone who knows about Chen. Time for another context rant. Chen Stormstout is a Pandaren brewmaster from the Wandering Isle, a giant turtle called Shenzin Su. He travels the world to find new and exotic ingredients to make his brew with. Rexar, during the founding of Durotar, finds Chen and helps him make a new brew. Chen then joins Rexar in helping to thwart the Kulturians' attack on the Horde with the help of Jaina Proudmoore and Theramore. He stayed in Durotar for a time to mentor Brewmaster Dron before moving on. Now we can find his empty kegs all over the Barrens and bring them to his student Dron and Ratchet. After taking down the Quillboar forces, we can find the stolen Crossroads supply crate tucked away near a hut by the road. Back to Thork, he praises us for a job well done taking out the Quillboar. He also thanks us for returning the crate, and if we need anything to just let him know. One of his scouts witnessed an attack on the supply caravans and confirms that the leader of the Quillboar is Kreenig Snarlsnout. He wants this leader taken out, as well as more of the Quillboar forces, and the tusk of Kreenig returned to him. Well, at least it's not the entire head this time. Before heading back to the Quillboar, let's bring this keg to Ratchet and gather up the quest there. When we arrive, we can talk to Captain Thalathas Brightsun, now in his new Blood Elf model. I'm kind of sad you don't get to see the janky bleached Night Elf model he used to have. He has lost another ship to the humans in Northwatch Hold. They are shooting at anything that sails by in a paranoid frenzy. We need to gather Theramore medals and slay Captain Fairmount, Canyoneer Wasan, and Canyoneer Smith. This quest is level 20, so we will do it in part 2. Just north of Brightsun is Brewmaster Dron. We give him Chen's keg, and he appreciates the reminder of his mentor. He asks if he would like to taste the Stormstout brew, as he's been taught how to make it. We need to bring him 5 Savannah Lion tusks, 5 Plainstrider kidneys, and 1 Thunder Lizard horn from any of those species in the Barrens. That is an interesting choice for beer ingredients. Heading north again, we can talk to Mebok Mimsyrix. The raptors in the Barrens are more intelligent than other lands, and he thinks this is because of their horns. He wants us to use the horns to make smart drinks to sell for a fortune. He wants 5 horns. This quest has one of the worst drop rates, and it will be a while before we get all the horns. Spider egg omelets are a new fad in Booty Bay, but they currently have no eggs. In Stone Talon Mountains, we can find the deep moss spider eggs in the Wind Shear or Shish Shear canyons. He wants 15 eggs. We can do this quest next episode when we go to Stone Talon Mountains. On the wall nearby is a Wana poster for Baron Longshore. This human from Gilneas commands vessels from the South Sea freebooters and is wanted for piracy. Gazlo wants proof of death in the form of, you guessed it, his head. Next to the flight point, you can find Sputtervalve. He tells us that the Venture Company has set up a research facility to the north, near the sludge fens. They are experimenting with something called a Samouflage. He doesn't know what this is, but he wants to find out. Sputtervalve found an operating manual for the control system, and we should figure out a way to disengage the Samouflage from it. I didn't bother to read this operating manual, because who reads the operating manual for anything nowadays? Just wing it. The Venture Company has stolen many of the best goblins for their ranks, but from time to time they can take one back. A while ago, the Stone Talon Mountains camp hired Garenzo Wrenchwhistle, a gnome. Who ever heard of goblins working for gnomes? Preposterous! Indeed, Sis Physics was so taken aback by this that he has asked Sputtervalve to find him employment with the Tinkers Union. Sputtervalve gave him a few tasks in the Windshear Crag, and could we please go check on him? Into the house at the top of the hill, past the goblin engineering trainers, and up the stairs we can find Gazlo. In Warcraft 3, he helps Thrall during the Orc campaign by providing the Zeppelins for travel in the Stone Talon Mountains. He also helped with the founding of Durotar by finding drinking water for the Orcs. He mentions here that with the money Thrall paid him for helping construct Orgrimmar, that he created Ratchet to do business with Booty Bay and Undermine. Gazlo mentions that he wished that Vice Admiral Greslik did a better job keeping the seas safe for trade. With how much money the trade princes, the leaders of the various goblin clans, has poured into the trade fleets, it makes him mad to see so many pirates raiding his ships and stealing his goods. He has heard that the South Sea freebooters have made camp south of Ratchet, and if Greslik won't take care of it, then maybe we can. Time to kill some pirates, I suppose. On the dock, we can talk to Wharf Master Dizzywig and hand him that crate we've been carrying around this entire time for the apothecary. He says it can be put on the next ship sailing out and puts it in his ledger. Dizzywig has heard that the Venture Company mine in the north has found a very large emerald the size of your fist. If we can get the emerald, he has a few buyers that would want something like that, and he'll go half and half on the sale. With a full quest log now, I'll have to accept Bigglefuzz's quest later. To free up some space, we head south to clear out some pirates. We quickly find the Baron and take his head. After 6 canyoneers and 12 brigands killed, we can head back to Gazlo. We give him the head and he's glad that the pirate ship Heedless and her captain will no longer trouble his trade ships. Gazlo is also thankful we cleared out the pirate ranks as well, though now he needs to find the goods that are missing. We need to go down to the dock and ask Dizzywig if any items from Booty Bay are missing, or if they were placed in the warehouse without Gazlo knowing. Heading back to the docks, we can pick up the quest from crane operator Bigglefuzz now. While offloading the morning shipment from Booty Bay, he noticed Mad Maglish run off with a 99-year-old bottle of port. He chased him all the way to the Wailing Caverns, but it was way too dangerous to go in there. Bigglefuzz is hoping we can go in and get the bottle back for him. Back to the Wharf Master, we hand him the ledger from Gazlo. He tells us to wait a moment while he double checks. He can confirm that the shipment never arrived. We should head back to Gazlo and tell him the bad news the pirates probably stole it. We bring the ledger back to Gazlo. He thinks Dizzywig is telling the truth and not trying to cheat him, which I suppose for goblins is a concern. Looks like we're going to be drafted into finding this missing shipment. Gazlo at least doesn't expect us to find the entire shipment that was stolen. He just wants 2 items he really wants. The telescopic lens to finish his observatory, and the boots he's been waiting for. Well, the stolen goods are just at the pirate camps we were at, so we can take a quick trip back to the coast, find the 2 crates, and head back. Gazlo is relieved to have his things back and thanks us for the help. He also offers us a job if we ever need one, which is pretty high praise from a goblin. Before we head out to the main part of the Barrens again, let's check around Ratchet for anything we haven't seen yet. We already spotted the engineering trainers in Gazlo's hut, but the dock is where the boat to Booty Bay comes and goes. Next to the dock is a fishing vendor who sells a better fishing pole, which I'll have to get once I level fishing up. The goblin towns usually have bankers as well, making it a bit more convenient than going back to a main city if you're far away like Booty Bay or Tenaris. In the smaller building next to the bank, called Iron Czar's Imported Weaponry, you can find a weapon vendor, forge, and anvil for blacksmithing. The house next to the brewmaster is called Plate and Chain. Inside is 2 armor vendors, carrying most armor types and shields. Inside the green hut is Liv Rizzlefix. You can talk to her, and she mentions that this house belongs to Marvin Rivetseeker. He's studying troll ruins and left some time ago for Tenaris. We might just find him there later. Moving to the upper level, you can go into an unmarked house and find Isaac Pearson. He's neutral, but you can also attack him. I almost hit him trying to see if I could talk to him. Out of curiosity, I looked it up, and he's part of a warlock quest to unlock the Incubus. Next house is Jazik's General Goods, which has the general and trade good vendors. The last building on this side is the Broken Keel Tavern, which has a fishing supplies vendor outside. Pretty much every inn has a stable master somewhere. Inside is just the innkeeper and a pretty rough looking inn. I wonder if it has bar brawls on the regular. Running back to the entrance, you can see the observatory Gazlo was talking about coming from his hut. There is a tower behind Ratchet, and I go take a peek. Outside, there is a warlock and demon trainer. There's also some acolytes inside, as well as a couple human warlocks. Another curiosity Google search, and this area has a questline for warlocks around level 31. With the tour of Ratchet complete, we can finally head out to complete many quests. We head up to the west of Ratchet and start with getting the Prowler Tusks and Planestrider Kidneys for the Storm Stout brew. These all have a pretty low drop rate, so we're collecting them along the way to other quests. While killing wildlife, a gun drops, which is an upgrade. I'll have to switch out my ammo once we get back to town. While on the hunt, we are also taking out any raptors for the intact horns. This will not be completed anytime soon, trust me. With only 2 tusks after 10 minutes of decimating the local wildlife, we take a break and kill some quillboar. You have to appreciate a simple kill counter quest after all of that drop rate RNG frustration. We take down Krinig and snag his tusk. We take down the remaining defenders and geomancers, ending up conveniently right next to the South Fury Bridge and that timed quest I had skipped last episode. Axeloth tells us that the Demon Seed is in a cave on Dreadmist Peak. He has power stones that will disrupt its connection to the Legion. We need to take the stone from the table and bring it to the altar on Dreadmist Peak. The safest way is from the northern face. The stone will only have enough power for so long, which is where the timed part comes in. It's at this point I realize that my friend doesn't have this quest because he never did the quest in Durotar. So I'll be going solo for this one. Picking up a stone, we start the race west and up the northeast side of the peak. This red haze appears as you get higher, which means the name Dreadmist was pretty accurate. We kill some cultists in the way at the top and head into the cave, where we find a Fel Guard. I was confused at first because I didn't remember this altar having a demon guard, but then I realized this is a rare spawn called Rethorian. He drops a cape named after him with 2 stamina. We place the crystal on the altar and destroy the demon seed. That cape from Rethorian was identical to my current cape, but I was very curious on what it looked like. I decided to put it on and was not disappointed. Goodbye, drab brown leather cape, you've been replaced by regal red cape. Every good MMORPG player knows that the aura of your character is peak endgame. You can't look like a total tool. Another run back to Axeloth, he says that the destruction of the demon seed could be felt through the ether and the owners of that seed will wonder who broke their toy. That will be a future trouble, and right now Nero gives us thanks with a piece of armor I can't wear. At this point the bags are full to bursting, so time for a pit stop. Hurthing back to Crossroads, I decide to finally do that Wind Rider quest to Orgrimmar. Heading to the inn nearby, we can give the meat that's been in our bags for a couple of hours to Grishka. She's pleased with her meat and correctly guesses it's from Zarg. Hopefully keeping that meat in my bags with who knows what else doesn't ruin this little courtship dance going on. She writes a letter to Zarg and asks us to bring it back to him with the Wind Rider. One purge of my bags to the auction house and bank later, we can fly to Thunderbluff to hand in another quest. We can talk to Hamul and let him know what's going on in the Barrens from Tonga. He entered the Emerald Dream and found a cult of druids in the Wailing Caverns. Their noble goal has lost its way, and they are now servants of the taint seeping into the Barrens. Hamul couldn't find more information, but we should talk to Nara Wildmane, as she was able to stay in the Emerald Dream longer. Well, Nara is just right over here. The druids in the Wailing Caverns call themselves the Druid of the Fang. They used to want to return the Barrens to its former state, but now only work for their own twisted vision. The Druids of the Fang have 4 leaders, and each have a dream gem. We need to get these gems and bring them back to Nara. This is the quest with the very, very nice staff that will serve us for a while. Even with no agility, the intellect and spirit will keep us from hitting low mana as often, and the speed will let us use Raptor Strike on cooldown if we end up in melee. Time to head back to the Crossroads. We give Zarg the letter and he's joyful that she liked the meat. He gives us some money for our troubles and is already hearing wedding bells. Well, good luck on that courtship. While I'm here, I buy an ammo pouch and bullets to switch to the gun we found. Back to the slaughtering of all the wildlife in our way as we head north. We managed to get a few Plain Strider kidneys before arriving at the spot to summon Echiyaki. Sorry, Bite, but at friendship level 6, you've served your purpose. I release Bite and summon Echiyaki. My party mates keep the cats off me while I tame him. Unfortunately, he didn't come with the claw ability that the cats can have, so I'll have to tame another normal one later. We can appreciate the unique silver cat while we have him though. We summon Echiyaki again and properly take him out this time for the hide. While killing all the cats around Achiyaki's lair, I got the 5 tusks. 1 ingredient finished. I decide to name my new pet Silver. Following the Plain Striders to try and find more kidneys, we end up at the North Mine. We let the wildlife have a break and search the venture company for a giant emerald. It dropped fairly quickly too, we didn't even need to go into the mine itself. Another trail of dead Plain Striders and some raptors leads us to the control box for the camouflage. Looks like we need to close 3 valves and find a key to get the camouflage. See? Who needs to read a manual? Just guess intuitively with basic instructions. First, we need to close the valves. They are the sparkly gears around the outside. Once that's done, we can access the control box again and turn off the switch. The camouflage is now disengaged from the control box. We just need the key to unlock it. We can find Tinkerer Sniggles in the green hut nearby, take the key, and head back to the box. We unlock it and take the camouflage out after digging through some redundant wires and tubing. No one ever said goblin engineering was efficient. We finally find the last Plain Strider kidney, which means we can leave the birds alone. Since we are near the northern border, we can run up and hand off the breadcrumb quest to free up space. We won't be going to Ashenvale for a while. The first hut on the right has a goblin we will be talking to soon. Further north on the left is a Tauren well and a pig farm. At the Ashenvale bulwark there are 2 towers. We can climb up the right one to get to Kadrak. He tells us that Ashenvale has been very successful and we now have 2 outposts, the one at Zoram Strand and another to the north called Splinter Tree. We can skip this quest for now as it's the introduction quest at Ashenvale. We only have 1 quest remaining, and it's the one I have been looking forward to the least. It's time to kill the harpies. On the way to the harpy camp, I notice a hut to the north. You can find Varang Wildgore, who sells mail armor. However, he also sells a bunch of green gear limited items. My priest teammate immediately took the new cloak with spirit on it. What a hidden gem to find. Usually, harpies are whatever to kill, but this particular spot, it's in the middle of the northern Barrens border, meaning if you die, the run back will be tedious, and the likelihood of you dying is increased because the patrols in this camp are stealth ambushers. If you go here solo to the camp, be very cautious with pulling. Over-leveled and with a teammate it's easier, but we still had a couple times where we were fighting 3 enemies. After spending 15 minutes killing way too many harpies, we finally have 8 talons and can head back to the crossroads. Also, after that entire journey from Ratchet and killing any raptors we saw, I only have 1 intact horn. Even the harpies didn't have as bad of a drop rate as that. At least we get a good job from Darsock for our 8 talons. He now wants us to go back to the exact same camp and kill more harpies for 6 lieutenant rings. Why couldn't you have given me this quest with the other one? Do you know how many slayers I've already killed just trying to get their feet? We give the pelt to Surgra, and she tells us that the spirit of Achiyaki is with us. Well, I sure hope so, since I tamed his clone. Our next hunt will have us not only finding our prey, but also going to their lair. We need to get feathers from the raptors to the south and place them on the nests near the stagnant oasis as a flex, I guess. Nothing like intimidating the hyper-intelligent wildlife. A quick flight to Ratchet and we can give Sputterfowl the camouflage. He's to have it sent to the Tinkers Union in the Undermine for careful dissection and research, but can't help himself to look at it first. It, of course, immediately explodes and is broken. We need to find a way to fix it before sending it to Undermine. Weniki Boltbucket at the Morshan Rampart should jump at the chance to try and fix it, so we should bring it to her. The quest Mebok has is for the dungeon Razorfen Crawl, so we can skip it for now. At the dock, we can give the Wharf Master the emerald. He gives us a sack of coins for it. Pleasure doing business with you indeed. Inside is 15 silver, and we get to keep the 6-slot bag. Not a bad reward at all. Heading back north, we can talk to Wenki, who has no idea what a camouflage is. She's fascinated by it and wants to try and fix it. She needs some nugget slugs to try and fix it, but she ran out. We can find some at the sludge fen to the east in tool buckets kept by the Venture Company. We can head to the Harpy camp first, and after spending another 15 minutes slaughtering the camp, we can get our 6 Harpy rings. Running back east, we can start doing some laps of the fen for tool buckets while we wait for the quest giver to reappear after his escort. We managed to get all 15 nuggets before he reappears. Whistlecrank is in a bind. He hopped into one of the Venture Company's shredders trying to steal it for Sputter Valve, but didn't realize that he needed a key to unlock the movement column. He's been safe since he made the excuse that the shredder has a mechanical problem, but that will only trick them for so long. We need to get the key to unlock the shredder from the control room at the top of the derrick so we can get the shredder out of here. Heading to the top of the oil derrick, we find Supervisor Lugwhistle, who has the key. We can bring it back to Whistlecrank, who unlocks the shredder and is amazed how much better designed it is compared to the Tinker Union shredders. Until he can figure out how to move the shredder, we need to protect him. Escorting him to Ratchet turns out to be escorting him 20 feet to the west as the shredder ends up blowing up not too far into our journey. Whistlecrank will stay here with the broken shredder if we can tell Sputter Valve what has happened and send help. We can bring the nugget slugs to Weniki and she tries to fix it. It didn't really work and now the Samoflange is in even worse shape. We should take it to Really Greasy Gob in Orgrimmar as he used to work for the Venture Company. We can find him with the engineering trainers. Back to Crossroads, we can give Darsock his 6 Harpy rings. At least he's pleased with our efforts. He has one last thing for us to do. Serena Bloodfeather is attacking the Horde with the Harpies because of her sister's death. Rexar killed her in Warcraft 3 during the founding of Durotar. In response, we need to get, say it with me here, the head of Serena, so Darsock can pike it on the caravans to send a message to the Harpies. One more run north, and I refuse to fight this entire camp of Harpies again. Instead, we climb up the cliff face north, run to the back of the Harpy camp, and snipe Serena from her little pack of followers. One more head acquired, we find we can't get back up the hill, and instead very carefully run around the camp and out. Kinda felt like we just Assassin Creeded that Harpy. That was one smooth assassination. Back to Darsock, we give him the head, and he says he wasn't sure we'd be up to the task, but we've proven ourselves to be cutthroat. He then thanks us for our work against the Harpy epidemic. I'm just happy it'll be quite a while before I have to kill any more Harpies. One quick flight to Ratchet, we can let Sputtervalve know about Whistlecrank. He's hopeful they can get something from that wrecked shredder and gives us a reward for our trouble. Off to Orgrimmar, we can talk to Really Greasy Gob. He immediately recognizes the Samoflange and asks where we got it, correctly guessing we found it in the Venture Company holdings in the Barrens. Really thinks we can fix the Samoflange, but we need a user manual first. Boss Copperplug in the Boulder Lode mine in the Northern Barrens keeps the secrets of the Samoflange and only tells a trusted few. He should have the user manual, and we need to find any missing pages nearby. The quest Sovik has here is for Booty Bay, so it can wait. While I'm in Orgrimmar, and now that I have honor reputation with the orcs, I get some hunter training. The pet trainer has rank 1 of the elemental resistances, which is very handy as it lets your pet resist spells, and growl rank 3. I don't need all the hunter abilities right now, so I pick up what I think I'll use the most. I pick up Arcane Shot rank 3, a must-have for range damage. Freezing Trap, which will be very useful in dungeons going forward as it freezes an enemy in place. Disengage, which will reduce my threat to help keep enemies off me and on the pet or tank. Menpet rank 2 for more healing power. And Aspect of the Cheetah, which increases my running speed by 30%, but if I'm struck by an attack, I will be dazed. This is the best quality of life ability, as just running along roads or in cities will take so much less time now until I can get a mount at level 40. I head to the Weapon Master and learn 2-handed axes to use the upgrade I got from the Harpy quest. We can now head out the side gate of Orgrimmar, as it's closer to the mine than the Crossroads is. We can head into the back of the mine and find Boss Copperplug and grab the manual cover. It needs 5 pages to be turned into a complete manual. A purge of the mining camp later, I get enough pages to make the manual and we can head back to Orgrimmar. While we were gone, Really contacted Sputtervalve and Ratchet to let him know what was going on, and he's excited to read the manual to try and fix the Samoflange. Sputtervalve sent us a reward for our efforts in fixing the Samoflange. Back to the Crossroads, and we have 3 quests having to do with the raptors in the south. I still only had 1 intact horn. We can head to the southeast and find the raptor grounds. Tucked deep inside is a chest with the stolen silver for the Crossroads. I also had way more luck in this camp and found 3 horns already. While we were here, we also got the feathers for the nests near the oasis. We head back that way and place a feather on each nest, which is color-coded for some reason. After all that, and killing every raptor we could find along the way to the raptor grounds and back, we are still missing intact horns. I thought the missing zebra hooves were bad, but this is just terrible RNG. While trying to find more raptors to kill, we find the hut that Mankrik lost sight of his wife at. She died to the Quillboar after a fierce battle, and it will be sad news we bring to Mankrik. Nearby, we can find the thunder lizards we need for the Storm Stout brew, and after just one thunder lizard, we find the horn we need. I suppose it makes up for the lack of raptor horns until now. After a few more raptors, we finally find the last horn we need, and in a twist of fate, I have to run back to the crossroads while my party member hers, because mine was still on cooldown. How the turntables! Back at the crossroads, we can talk to Mankrik about his wife, and he takes the news surprisingly calmly, though I think he already knew what her fate was most likely to be. Segra commends our courage for killing raptors and putting the feathers in their own nests, though I think that's less about courage and more about sheer swagger against a foe I've killed dozens of across this place. Thankfully, this is the last task Segra has for us, and she's moving us along to Camp Tarajo. We need to speak to Jorn Skyseer if we want more guidance about hunting animals that is missing limbs and internal organs to an alarming degree. We can give the stolen silver to Gazrog, and he's surprised that the silver was at the raptor lair, since why would raptors want silver? He gives us a reward from the supplies we helped get back. Another flight to Ratchet, and we can finally give Mebok those raptor horns. After all that work, he's just going to grind them up and put it into wine. What a waste. Especially since it doesn't even work as a get-rich-quick scheme, and now he wants us to find something better. There is a substance in the Wailing Caverns called Wailing Essence that he thinks is causing the strange plants and animals in the Barrens. Instead of being alarmed by these mutations, he wants to try and market it. We need to get the essence from slimes in Wailing Caverns. We can bring the ingredients for Storm Stout brew to Dron, and he's happy to get to make this brew again, enjoying the nostalgic moment. He has another recipe that Chen taught him if we're interested. We can bring him 5 lightning glands, 1 thunderhawk saliva gland, and a Kodo liver to make Trog brew. Another beer I don't think I'd like to try in real life. If you check the Storm Stout brew, it increases your strength and decreases your intellect for 5 minutes. Sounds like a pretty potent beer to me. We've all made a stupid decision while drunk before. This leaves just level 20 quests for part 2 of the Barrens, a couple of breadcrumb quests to other areas, and the Wailing Caverns dungeon. We can do the dungeon first, starting in the next video where we'll go to Stone Talon Mountains. See you there! Thank you all so much for watching my video and leaving some supportive comments. I'm learning so much about video editing and just the Warcraft universe in general in these videos. I had no idea the Undermine had been referenced as far back as Original Classic, considering it's one of the newest areas added to retail. I will let you know now that the next video might be delayed. The party member that I filmed these videos with had their account hacked. We are trying to get it recovered, but it might be a bit until I can film Stone Talon Mountains until we can get this resolved, as I don't want to continue without them. Thank you for participating in the poll about doing the Alliance side of the game as well. I've been considering it, and if I do them, it won't be until I finish all the Horde-only zones. Please consider liking the video or subscribing, as it feeds the motivation to continue doing these videos for all of you. Bye bye for now!